guys, Martin here. So I'm just showing you guys the big tank and about the big tank. It's a 120-gallon tank, and you can see all they got. A little anxious there, ripped up some decorations. But anyway, what I have to do with this tank is I have to do an 80% water change weekly. Even though I have a really good strong filter on this thing, because of all the feedings you do, because these fish are really big, that's what you need to do to keep that tank up. So using the water pump you guys would have seen in my previous video saved me a ton of time. And look at the water, looks great. Look at the decorations. I think it's coming together. It gives them a nice natural feel, and they're calm. And I'm gonna stick with Oscars and these mid-size, large cichlids, at least. That way they're not 100% cramped for space here. The only large thing will be the fire eel when it gets big, but trying to keep a balance. It's my next thing I'm learning big time, is to keep a balance as much as possible. I recommend that you guys re-examine your tanks if you haven't, just to go over if you have too many fish, or if any of your fish are gonna grow big. Sometimes you don't know. Go over what you have in your tank. Sometimes you buy things and they end up being a big fish. You don't even know about that. So that's an important topic I wanted to bring up. Let's head up for a second and look at the other tanks. I don't know why this is blurry. So here we are at the 20-gallon tank. And believe it or not, let's move over to the other tank. I do Brita my water for all my water changes except for the 120-gallon and some of the larger tanks. But I do Brita them. So with the betta fish, some of them end up being males. If you guys follow, some of them ended up being females. So I had to split some up into these two tanks so they don't fight too much. The water changes were done today, and they were done on pretty much every single tank. So I'm just kind of showing you guys what they look like when they're pretty clean, minus the wiring and tubing in the back. Hopefully you don't mind. So that's one of the guppy tanks. Here's the other guppy tank. So all of these were, like I said, I do put my water through Brita jugs. So this one I still have to siphon through the bottom, but it has gone through a water change. And so have my baby guppies. I think they need one more week before this water is crystal clear, before it looks like this tank, and that's because I water share together, and I only water share once a week. So I think one more week and it'll look really good. Let's move on to this is one of my favorite tanks, and some water spilled on the side there. One of my favorite tanks, especially now that there's a little ship decoration, kind of fits in just perfect. So again, these have all been cleaned up and water changed, and Brita water was put in through a jug I have. And just to show you, this tank was completely clean. There was not a speck of dirt or dust at the bottom. Same with the tank beside it. This is all 1 day, and I think that's actually pretty good for one. It's a half a day actually of dirt. So if you have gravel in your tank, you don't notice this, but this is only half a day of what your fish drop from food and poop and so on, and from the plants. So that's only half a day. So that's pretty much it. So you guys know, when you guys are looking at videos and they have a bare bottom tank, this is just, what, a couple guppies in this tank, for example, 5 guppies or so, 5 or 6, and this is just half a day of garbage on the bottom. And look, it's all around the tank, right? So I have to siphon and do weekly water changes. I siphon the garbage out twice a week, once in the middle of the week, once during the water changes. So that's why it's so important that you guys keep up your tank upkeep. And yeah, if you let it slide for a week or so, you might end up with quite a lot more work to do later. So just keep on working on your fish tanks. If you haven't checked your filters lately, I would say it's a good reminder. I'm trying to remind everybody, do their upkeep, do their water changes. Weekly seems to be best, because sometimes you can get away with a 25% water change if you do it weekly, and sometimes 50%. But if you don't do it weekly, you will leave it for like every 2 weeks or every month. You'll probably have to do a lot, because the water will start to turn yellowy from all the food that you dropped in that didn't get eaten, from all the fish pee and live plants if you have them. So it's vital. Look at this, is how the water should be. It should be crystal clear. It's a little foggy because the water is fresh. I added it this morning. But the water should be, for the most part, crystal clear for every tank. You guys should not see any indication that there was water in the tank. That's how it should look. It should look crystal clear. Let me see if I can show you guys. Best examples are like right here. You guys can't tell that there really is water in the tank, or maybe this one. You really cannot tell. Like, if you look at it, especially in real life, it does not look like there's water in this tank. Like I said, this one's a bit cloudy. It's a work in progress, but that's what you should aim for. Strive for that. It's a big pet peeve I'm developing right now, is make sure the water is good. And I want to share that with you guys, and I just want to make sure you guys see that I'm working hard, and hopefully it motivates you to have a look at your fish tank, examine if you have too many fish, if you feed them too much, if you've got too much garbage in your gravel, if you haven't checked your filter. Maybe it's time to have a look and clean up a little bit. I'm an easygoing person, but for my fish, I've learned that you have to do weekly check everything, weekly upkeep, and sometimes it doesn't take much, but the little bit you do, it means a lot to the fish, right? So, all right, hopefully that's the message of the day. That's the work I've done. I've spent half a day. This is my weekend, and that's what I'm doing on my weekend, is making sure I clean the fish tanks for these guys. so they can enjoy a nice clean environment. And hopefully you guys follow suit. Good luck with your fish tanks, guys.